Hello, my name is Maya Kuzina and I'm glad to present the third event of the new season of Korean Film Nights. It is organized by the Korean Cultural Center with the support of Birkbeck University of London and presented by the curatorial team, including Maisa Germain, Hule Martos, Thomas Flu and me. We're all master students at Birkbeck and we're getting our degrees in film programming and curating. The program that we're presenting is called TRAP, the Cinema of Confinement. It includes 4 films carefully selected from the vast and rich Korean film archive, which is our collaborator on this project. This program was conceived during the times when the whole world was struck with panic and confusion that the pandemic brought into our lives. A lot has changed. Our ideas of time and space shifted, the basic need for human interaction became unattainable, and everybody just felt trapped because of the unimaginable restrictions. The new season of Korean Film Nights unpacks these very ideas and further explores the idea of confinement in the rich history of South Korean cinema. The first 2 events, 301-302 by Park Chul-seo and Eunuch by Ching Sang-ok, looked at the themes of psychological and physical imprisonment. Both were the stories about societal oppression of a female body and female sexuality, expressed among other things through the enclosed spaces that the characters inhabited. On the one hand, there was a thriller played out in a modern flat of a single woman. On the other, the sensual melodramatic setting of a medieval palace. Today's film, Transgression by Kim Ki-yoon, presents a different take on the idea of confinement. In this mysterious drama, it is religion that poses self-limitations. It brings the characters together under the same roof in search for spiritual freedom, yet it keeps them apart and their humanity suppressed. Transgression is a film by one of the biggest names in South Korean film history. Many of Kim Ki-yoon's films, particularly the ones of the so-called golden age of the 60s and early 70s, are now universally considered classics. Yet, it was quite shocking for me to learn that international audiences only discovered his films at the beginning of 2000s, almost 40 years after his most influential film, The Housemaid, which was filmed and presented in 1960. Since then, the scholarship on Kim Ki-yoon's work has increasingly expanded, and there have been numerous celebratory events, including a massive retrospective at Cinémathèque Française in 2006. Nonetheless, I think there is still a lot to be rediscovered for contemporary audiences about Kim Ki-yoon's filmography. That is why for today's event we have picked a rarely screened Transgression, filmed in 1974. It doesn't only resonate with today's reality in quite an unexpected way, but it also adds to the exploration of the director's key themes, which are gender essentialism, the battle for female liberation, societal oppression, and resistance. This film presents a very touching story of 2 young orphans who were rescued during war by a Buddhist monk. Away from liberated society and its temptations, boys enter priesthood and soon became contenders for receiving the mantle and the title of abbot. The mountaineering setting of the film suggests obedience and peace, but in reality, passions are running high. Both Dos-im and Chim-ae are disciplined and determined to excel in Buddhist teachings, but they have a really hard time resisting their natural passions. One of them is teased by hunger, the other by a secret affection for a young Buddhist nun who is just as torn by the desire for human touch and pleasure as her male counterparts. It is important to mention that, according to the Buddhist ethics, one cannot achieve enlightenment without transgressing their bodily needs, particularly the desire for a female body, which traditionally is considered vicious. So the mystery of the film is whether the characters obey or they revolt. I find it very interesting that while exploring the theme of restrictions, this film itself is an evidence and a document of the restrictive practices that the South Korean government of the so-called Dark Age practiced. The film was created under the circumstances of ideological oppression and censorship, and Kim Ki-yoon, who was quite a radical and eccentric artist for its time, was under a lot of pressure. I think that a lot in his films could have been easily considered disturbing, including Transgression's probing into the oppressive nature of religious practices, psychosexual idiosyncrasies, and acceptance of human desire. And apart from that, from the perspective of self-isolation regime, human touch that the characters desire so much becomes the most important freedom, and I think that Transgression explores this idea in a very beautiful way. I really hope that you will enjoy this surrealistic, sarcastic, and quite an eccentric work. And I hope that you will find the additional material presented on KCC's website helpful and interesting as well. Join us for the closing session, which will happen on August 27. We're going to watch the Pioneer and then talk about this program and the very strange times that we've all been surviving through. Thank you very much, KCC. Thank you very much, Birkbeck and my colleagues, and I hope you'll have a great time. Bye.